So shall we move on to
Benny Ward, the other one?
Benny Ward.
Yeah, he's got a big move. He deserves a bit of mention. I mean, he's one of those players, and when you start the season, we're like, oh, who's this playing? Oh, Ben Ward. Wonder what he's like. Obviously, but within a few games, we're like, to do our own team, like, oh, Ben Ward's got to play in the park, so I think he dominates the game for us. And I think you could tell straight away this season he was going to go big. And I'm not surprised he got the move, and I'm looking forward to seeing him in the Premier League because I reckon he's definitely got it in him to go a long way. What I've seen from him, great.
James, what can you tell us about Ben as a player and as a young man?
Again, like all the players and the young lads, so hardworking, dedicated. Such a lovely young man, and again, fully deserves it. I think, if I remember rightly, and I can't remember what game it was, but it was early on in the season, I think Sammy got injured. Ben hadn't really had his chance. Ben didn't really get on. He came on a couple of times as a sub. He was on the bench quite a bit. I think Sammy got injured quite early on in the game, and it was like, well, let's put Ben on. And Ben went on and immediately just had an impact on the game, and everyone just thought, wow, we'd lost Adam Lovett from last year. And obviously a lot of that was going on, and it was, who do we find as that sort of replacement that can sit in that role? And alongside Ryan Worrell this year, because obviously we changed it slightly, rather than having one there in that CDM sort of role. We've gone to two number fours who can sit alongside Ryan Worrell and be that rock. And Sammy got injured, unfortunately, had to come off for the game, and on comes Ben Ward, and the rest was absolutely history. And again, such a hard-working, dedicated player. And you wouldn't think it from looking at it how physical he can be, but he doesn't hold back or shy off to any sort of tackles. Even in training, he's just so hardworking, and absolute credit to him. And again, another lad that I think will go on far. And I was gutted that his game was abandoned after sort of 20 minutes. His debut for the under 18s, I think it was, for Burnley. Because I think he got on again a few days later.
He did.
He got on
they beat
one game, didn't
he? They beat Man United 4-1.
4-0 from that, yeah. So
yeah, it was incredible.
Again, another young lad that I think will do really, really well, and will just go through the Football League. He's already at Burnley. I think hopefully he stays there, and like you say, we see a debut for the first team, which I'm sure he will do in a few years' time, 100%.
So, yeah. How? I don't know how you could even answer this, but a club like Burnley, again, not in close proximity either, in the Premier League, what leads them to come down to Hastings United and pick up a player?
I think it's just the club. I think as a club we're starting to grow, and sort of, I think bigger clubs are starting to see the work that likes of Aggie, Brownie, and the rest of the staff have with these young lads. The full-time programme with the college and the work that we put in is getting a name for itself. And I think for Premier League clubs and professional clubs, that they know that the setup we've got here is very good. And I think that you can only have to look at Adam Lovett. Jake Elliott's been off for lots of trials in the past. You've had Adam Lovett that's gone to Sutton. Ben Ward now has gone to Burnley, and David that's gone to Crawley. So the clubs are looking at us now and are actively coming down, and we get a lot of interest all the time, I believe, and lots of scouts coming from lots of clubs to look at the players.
Yeah, I just, it's probably something that no one knows, because Chris Laverick, he's a modest type of guy, but he comes from the QPR area, and he actually had trials about 12 years ago up there.
Who did?
You did. You know you did.
You've had a blow to the head or something.
But
I'm 46, mate. I'm 46,
I could get a trial QPR right now.
Yeah, the charges didn't stick though. It was for hydroponic.
Oh yeah, hang on.
I wonder where this is going. No disrespect, Chris. I wonder where he was going with this one.
Yeah, no. So I've had. Yeah. So anyway, we're talking about Ben Ward. Does anyone more to chip in about him?
Just one thing I remember was the three, because of where we stand up the side there. The Three Bridges game, and they were absolute pain in the arse, that lot. It was like a school of porpoises throwing themselves around, and that was when Ollie Pope got sent off, I think, and Ben came over and put that left back slot. And I think that was when it just suddenly he him already only having played about 2 or 3 games, they had to pull him over to that side, and he just looked. And even though we were down to 10 men, and luckily they equalised the sendings off later on, but he settled into that left. He just looked so assured in that left back role up and down that side, and the tackling. Good point, actually. Put in a couple of good old tackles, and it was really interesting. That was the moment for me. I thought, this bloody hell, this kid is good, because he just swapped over there and didn't he? Like water off a duck's back. It was just impressive, very impressive.
Well, Ollie Pope's on his way to India, so I hope he's taking some credit.
I was thinking that, yeah.
I hope he's taking some credit for this discovery of Ben Ward. So, yeah.
Well, yeah. Obviously, I interviewed Ben for this week's podcast, and he's such a nice lad.
So I'm an episode behind, so I haven't heard it yet.
Oh yeah, don't worry about it. No, it's up now anyway. But he's such a nice lad, and one of the fun things he said was like he's going to come down because we play good stuff. He wants to come back. That he's still got a massive love for the place. There doesn't seem too much ego on him at all. But
absolutely not. Absolutely not. He's the most humble, one of the most humble players. He just so hardworking, so dedicated, and it's like a sponge. Just wants to soak in all the information and every bit of knowledge, and it's what's got him to where he is. Like I said, the hard work and dedication from everybody is just second to none. And he won't be the last. With David as well, that will go on and go up the leagues. We've got young lads coming through the academy who again will be breaking into their first team, I'm sure, when we can restart. And again we'll have more scouts coming down, and I'm sure we'll see more that go on and sign contracts at higher leagues and higher levels.
Yeah, hopefully, and we can go up the leagues as well if this bloody COVID can do one.
I think that's what we need. Just get up that couple of divisions to match everyone's ambitions, and then you got the best of both worlds, haven't you?
If at the moment I'd accept having football back, because I tell you what, the last few months I have missed it so much. I mean, seeing everybody, the whole pilot for everything, I've missed it so much, especially the last couple of months. We just need it back. I mean, yeah, it'd be great if we get promoted and everything, but at the end of the day, I just want it back. I want the family back. I want to be back where I belong. It gives you hope. It gives you something to base your week around. I miss it so much.
That's true.
Yeah, I totally agree. And I think we've been spoilt so much with this club. When you see other clubs, and maybe their fan base and things like that, there's a real thriving spirit in the club. And when COVID first started, it was one of the few things to look forward to, wasn't it? Just getting together with everyone. And now that rug's been whipped from under us, but it's going to start again, and it's going to be great, isn't it?
It is. I totally agree. It's going to be that first game back where, let's face it, there's going to be a lot of hugging, a lot of jumping, a lot of beer. It's going to be good. I feel sorry for that first ref and keeper.
Yeah.
So do we.
We've got Rye here, and Rye's being very quiet today. Anything you want to say about Issy, Rye?
Obviously, everyone around the club's delighted for her to get the opportunity to study soccer in Arizona. She's been one of the most consistent players for the team this season. Absolutely brilliant free kick taker. So, because I'm not sure how many of you are aware, she had a trial for the scholarship at Dorking Wanderers a little while back. So that was obviously positive for her. She scored some goals there. She's been offered the scholarship now. So it will be a big loss for the team, definitely, but it's a great opportunity for her, which she completely deserves.
Cool. Anyone else about Issy? Because unfortunately, I've never caught a women's game, and that's not intentional. So, anyone?
I've seen a couple, and Rye's right. She's all very talented. Obviously, dead ball specialist, really dangerous, and if she brings that over to America, so I don't obviously know how good their college level is, but I'm sure she'll be a very big success.
Cool. Anyone else?
Well, college sport over there is that that's their feeder system, isn't it? Whereas we have sort of junior, under 23 and lower leagues. Their college system there, whether it's athletics, American football, or
yeah, it's like a college in the draft, isn't it? Something like weird like that.
Yeah, the college scene is really big over there for sport. So it's definitely, I would say, it's a very, very good thing to do.
To put it in perspective, some of their American football games at college, which is university level, attracts 5 figures of crowds. It's huge, and sometimes it's on like our version of Sky. It's like having Cambridge versus Manchester University, like live on Sky Sports. It's a huge deal over there. Absolute huge deal. So to her to get that sort of contract to go and study is a big opportunity. So yeah, best of luck.
Did you know her at all, James?
Unfortunately, a bit like you, Chris, I can't get to, and I haven't had a chance to get to any of the women's games. Family reasons. You know, if I'm out a couple of times a week and away for a Saturday with a young daughter and fiance, I've got to spend a bit of time with them during the week. So I think I'll probably end up being divorced before I got married if I was out every weekend involved with football. Edit that out so she doesn't see it.
Every football match,
don't worry, mate. We've all been divorced, haven't we?
I'm not married yet. That's the thing. I'll be divorced before I'm even married.
When you get married, then?
No, I think.
Are you going to say it on this podcast?
There isn't a date yet. We're in the process of hopefully moving house. So we're in the final stages of that and having our first home. So once we're in, then we can maybe look at the dates for that. But we'll see. But anyway, back to the women's. I would like to go and watch a game. You know, I will, once we can get back going, I will go and watch a few games. Because I think it's important they come and support us. You know, a lot of the women's players come in and see our games. So, you know, and I know a lot of the other staff and players will watch their games as well. And I think it's only right that we do support them as much as they support us. So, you know, again, with no fault of my own, I just haven't managed to get to watch one yet. But, you know, any scholarship for any player in America is only going to be a good thing. And from what I've seen in terms of the highlight reels, and like I say, I echo what Robbie and Ryan said in terms of her ability. And I hope she does really well and goes out there and makes a massive name for herself and smashes it. So I'm sure she will do. Yeah. George, anything?
Well, that's it, really. It's just, from what I said, it's a big deal, isn't it? Absolutely big deal. And it's not only, it just shows that not only are we getting opportunities for our men to go and play at high levels of football, is that, you know, come through Hastings United into the female team, and then there's opportunities as well for you to progress, whatever your age. So it's just all good for the club. Like it's people need to understand that a club at our level, for people to move on and do great things, it's only good news for the club.
Absolutely.
All it says is, if you're 14, 15 and you're having a bit of a talent at football and you need to find somewhere to ply your trade, or even younger, you go to Hastings, because that's where the opportunities open up for you.
You got lost a little bit. James Poole went out to America, didn't he? Did he eventually go?
I believe he did. I think it was delayed. Because of COVID, but I'm pretty sure he's out.
Yeah. He was a good player.
The most novel about James Poole is, I think George and I are like, we've got his chant. We've got his chant down. Next game, we're bringing it out. And then, James Poole has gone to America. I'm like, that's goodbye chant.
It's like Benn with 2 ends, isn't it?
Yeah. And who was it?
The shittest chant ever written by anyone.
Well, we created it drunkenly, remember? Because we talked to Aggie, and he was like, "Oh no, it's Ben with 2." He had to say it has to be Ben with 2 ends. He's very particular about that. Ben with 2 ends, you say?
Yeah.
It's stuck.
It's good to see the club quoting some of our chants, Rob, and there's some copyright issues there. But apart from that,
I think one of them was definitely mine, and I might just sue. You know, it's just copyright. Get some of that moolah.
I did ask him. I asked him, why have you got 2 ends? And he said, I don't know. It's just me, mum and dad. You better ask them. It's quite funny. But anyway.
Someone jogged the registrar.
Yeah.
Oh, no. What am I on about? I mean, do you have a registrar for births?
Yeah.
I suppose you do.
Yeah.
Well, you know what it is? You're writing something. You get distracted. And you're like, where was I? N. Oh, bugger, 2 ends. It's fine. It's fine.
When I first read it reminded me of an interview with a Brighton player. Back in the noughties, and it was called Marcos Painter, And you think it should be
best bench warmer there ever was.
Yeah, it should be Marcus. And he was asked, like, why are you called Marcus? He goes, I don't know. A family from Birmingham. It must be a typo. that's all he says about his own name. He's like, well, maybe that's what it was.
The U and the O are quite near each other, you know. So,
but no, I don't. Yeah.
Right, guys, let's move on to Project Non-League.
Big news.
What is the latest, George, on that?
Actually, before
to be fair,
I want to clarify all that is for me, because obviously I haven't seen a lot about it. Because obviously I've been following social media quite a lot, so I don't actually know what fully it's about. Can someone explain it to me?
I'll happily clarify it. I mean, James will probably come and correct me because he knows close to the club. But it basically, so the season could end without any more games. I think everyone's kind of well aware of that. And here we go. Thank you, everyone.
Here's the professional. Really. The professionals here.
So
not being back at work.
I mean, for the benefit of the podcast and people just purely through audio, the idea is that the season could finish with no one playing any other games. But what a lot of people might not know is that the FA are due to restructure the non-league system, and they're looking to have the pyramid with the conference, the old conference, National League, 2 divisions below that, 4 divisions below that, 8 divisions, and then 16. So it feeds naturally in towards that National League. And what that requires is it requires quite a few teams to be promoted to make that system work. And what is different from last year, where they were happy to scrap the league and have no null and void and no promotion, no relegation. The FA this time, what you need is the bigwigs on your side. The FA needs promotion to happen to force this system through. So there is an opportunity potentially through this Project Non-League for clubs to apply for promotion based on the club's standing, ability to perform at a higher level, points per game, performance over the last couple of seasons, and that's what Project Non-League is looking at. I don't know if you wanted to add anything to that, James.
No, I think you've hit the nail on the head. Really, I think from what I've seen, I think something needs to be done. I think everybody can agree that null and void a second season it shouldn't really be an option. And I think clubs that think it should be, I just beg to believe as to why. And I think Project Non-League, I think, sort of helps everybody in some respects. It sort of covers as many areas of the game, and clubs are in different positions really well. And you just got to look at the likes of Phoenix Sports, who came out where Project Non-League wouldn't benefit them anyway, who have come out and openly supported it. And I think we saw that last year when there was the vote for null and void, that a lot of teams were in the middle of the table voted to null and void the season. And you just think, I struggle to understand why. I think there's got to be something extra to it. I think points per game over 2 seasons is right. I think a lot of clubs that are saying you can't bring back expunged results, and that season looks like it didn't happen. I think if we'd sat 2 years ago and said, by the way, the league are going to cancel the whole season, you've played around 70% of your games, but suddenly it's like it's never going to exist. Everybody, regardless of where they were in the league, would have turned around and said, that's nonsense, you can't do that. Do you know what I mean? So I think we're in a position in a global pandemic where I think anything can be on the table, and I think that's what it should be. And I don't think it should just be 1 or 2 options. And I think Project Non-League covers all bases. And I think their proposal for me, and I think they're seeing more and more clubs. You only have to go on Twitter to look at the sort of the reams of support from teams. And again, more and more teams that are sort of sitting in the middle of the table who are for it, because again, can't see reason as to why. And even those at the lower end of the table where they could be relegated, Project Non-League again is avoiding relegation, so there's no impact on them teams unless you want to apply and say, actually, we feel that we need to go down for whatever reason because of finances or what that might be. So the Project Non-League caters for all, and I just cannot see a negative point to it. And I just hope that when we get the results back, and it was good to see such high percentages, I think 99.9% and 96% of votes and feedback came from clubs to the proposals and stuff. So I hope common sense and a bit more of a pragmatic approach to get some sort of resolution to this season is on the table.
Well, there's lots of things to say about that, and it's there's a few things really. Is the fact that if you vote for null and void, you stay in the same, and it's not going to affect you. You stay in the same division. But if points per game, whatever happens, and you stay in the same division, what's the difference to you? And I'll tell you what the difference to you is this. There's positive differences. One, you get rid of teams that are way better than you and have way higher resources and are going to beat you every week and stop you getting promoted next season. They go out of your division. They're gone. Also, if you null and void again, how do you attract sponsors to your division? And how do you attract players to your division and anyone who wants to get involved in step 4 of non-league, which is tough enough as it is, even though we know it's a great thing. We all know, but other people don't. Businesses don't really know how good it is. How do we attract them if we say 2 seasons in a row, none of the results mattered? Every time someone kicked a ball in that division, it didn't matter. You need to make sure that's valuable. And again, if teams did need to apply for relegation, which is a mad thing for people who support football league clubs, but for a non-league, actually, it's beneficial for you to not be in a high division sometimes because of the standards that you need to have your ground at and the monetary side of it.
Well, look at Shoreham. A few seasons ago, we played them. They were clearly, when we played them, they were not big enough for the league we were in, and they got smashed that season. So they'd be the sort of team that go, yes, please, can I be relegated?
Apart from the point they got against us.
Yeah.
The point they got against who?
Us.
How they got a point?
But what an away day that was!
Cracking away day.
Wish them all the best. What a great ground! What a great ground! But also with this side of it, the FA side of it, the trouble is we're dealing in politics, and politicians don't like to go back on what they've said. They need a way out of it. Well, the FA have a way out of this because they're not accepting points per game over 2 seasons. What they're doing is they're accepting applications for people to be promoted based on previous performance, which is something that has happened for however long the FA has existed. It's happened. So there is a way for them to not go back on their word, which they hate doing. They hate going back on precedent. There is a way for them to do it and to move the league forward and to restructure it how it probably should be with a 1, 2, 4, 8, 16 structure in non-league. They can do it this season.
Completely agree with that. Robbie alluded to it earlier that one of the joys of non-league football is there's still the absolute joy of going to the game, which is not so prevalent maybe at Premiership level these days. But nevertheless, there's definitely a time now for a reckoning in the non-league because the pyramid is. I mean, I consider myself fairly bright, and I just sometimes can't get my head round how the system works. It's absolutely ridiculous. The situation we found ourselves in 2 or 3 years ago, where we could have won our playoffs and still not got promoted, for example, was utterly ludicrous. And to go for the 1, 4, 8, 16, whatever, as George said, surely that's got to make sense. And it's a really good example of where COVID, if anything, has given an opportunity to make something sustainable where it wasn't sustainable. And with the right kind, and the publicity campaign at the moment around it, as long as it's positive enough, this has got a great opportunity. So it's really a case of keeping that campaign for it positive, really. It's got to be the right thing for everybody and get everybody at their right level. And yeah, this sort of situation where everyone's moaning about Hastings resources or whatever in our division. Yeah, right. Well, we'll get out of your division then. We'll get out of your division and go where we should be. And, make the pyramid understandable, make the pyramid sustainable. And I can't see any downsides. Now is there'll never be a better time. Never be a better time.
You're right.
Go on, Rob.
I was about to say he's right there because you alluded to it. COVID has got advantages, but wrong choice of word. You know what I mean? And like you say, it's the chance because if anyone moans about it, they've always got the excuse of, well, it was the COVID seasons. What do you expect us to do? This sort of thing. You're right. This is an unprecedented time, and it's a little bit of good. And actually, as you say, restructure the league, make it make sense, because it's quite hard at the moment to go, oh yeah, we're in whatever step we're in, and that's how far. It's hard to explain. But once we reorganise it, you can go up to the average football league fan who just thinks non-league's not real football and doesn't quite understand it, and explain it to him.
What we need to do as well is that we need to actually respect the pyramid and the fact that it's not just some shit thing that part-timers do. Our pyramid in non-league is the best in the world by far. You go to third divisions most countries in the world, and there is no one there watching. No one there. We're in the 8th tier and we were getting over 1,000 people coming to watch our games. The 5th tier of English football a few seasons back had a playoff final that attracted over 75,000 people to go and watch in the 5th tier of English football. Our non-league is absolutely incredible. So we need to protect it. It's not something that can be just manoeuvred around and just be cast aside. It needs to be protected, but this is a way that it can be protected in the long run.
Great words there.
Yeah, it's well, dreadful cliche. It's a no-brainer. I think it really is it is just a one-off chance to make it right.
So, James, I want to ask you something. In this time, I mean, we usually would be midway through a season. What is the day-to-day activity of the club at this point?
Oh, tough question.
That is it's a really open-ended question, but like what?
Very open-ended,
and a bit of a turn as well.
Because usually we'd have a game in 2 days' time, and there'd be preparations going on for that, but we can't meet up, we can't do anything. How does even the club? Because the club clearly is ticking over. Because we were very prepared for the start of this season by the how we've played. So what's the club doing at this point with the players and the coaches? And
so from a player's point of view, I can say from our perspective, from my perspective, it's harder. It's been harder this time round, in my opinion. I think we've continued to keep in contact. Obviously we're in WhatsApp groups, and that the banter is still flowing. And yes, we can't meet up and do training like we would like to do, but like I said earlier, players are taking it above themselves, and that's what I'm saying. We've got that group of players and staff that are winners, and ultimately winners do more. And as the hashtag goes, and they're out and they're doing things off their own back, and we're seeing it. So it's hard. I'm not going to get me wrong, because I love going down, meeting everybody and seeing it, and that banter that we get on a Tuesday, Wednesday during training, Saturday for a game. That's something that I think we're all missing. Not just you as fans, but us as sort of players, managers, and staff. We're all missing that, and I think all we can do is keep sort of conversations like this are absolutely fantastic. It just keeps that communication going, and that it stops everyone going absolutely stir crazy. And we're doing similar stuff as well as amongst the team. Even I joined into a Zoom fitness session a couple of weeks ago. Well, a couple of weeks ago, it must have been a couple of months ago now, just before Christmas. And
probably feels like pretty recent still, doesn't it, James? So.
It feels very recent. It still feels very recent. But there's all stuff like that we're doing. Just to keep morale high, and like I say, that's as much as we can do at the moment until we get the green light to be able to get back to face-to-face training, whether that's in smaller groups or whether it's back in a more larger setting. And I have no doubts whatsoever with the professionalism of both staff and players that when we get that green light, whenever that will be, to hit the ground running again, that it will be as if we haven't even stepped off the pitch and had a break, like I felt it was last time around.
It was, and based off that, can I give you another shit question? What is your message to Hastings United fans who must be sat at home thinking, fuck's sake, Hastings United was my thing to do on a Saturday, is the only thing I had, and everyone's telling me that non-league's in absolute turmoil. What's your message to Hastings United fans thinking, is that what's going to happen when I come back? What's your message to them? Are they going to have their Saturday back when we come back?
Yeah, I think it's hard. Everyone's feeling it at the moment. I think this second lockdown has probably been harder. I've certainly found it hard. I said it earlier. I think, it's colder, it's wetter. We've got these restrictions in place, and it is much more difficult. And, I was a fan. I loved going to Hastings when I was younger. So I can only imagine what it's like. We're feeling it as well as players and staff. We miss it just as much. All I can say is, we will be back. And when we are back, it will be like we've never been away. And, you know, seeing there with 6 of you with no tops on behind the goals in freezing cold weather is always a sight to see. You know, and sat in the stands at Aveley, watching the game as I do, and some fans next to me going, they're absolutely mad at the end. You know, it's you know, it's fantastic to hear and see, and ultimately, just foresee what that's going to be like. And you know, you guys know what it's like on a Saturday when we're in full swing, and you know, we will get back to that. So we will get there eventually, but just hang on.
The thing is, Quebec Road, everyone dresses like that.
I'm proud. Born and raised Quebec Road.
I hope our little trip into the main stand at Aveley was well received amongst the prawn sandwich crew. So,
yeah.
My only question to you fans would be: obviously, we've got our own. We've got. I was just going to say, we've got our own training regime. Do you as fans have training regimes? You know, have you been out in the winter with your tops off and making sure that you're drinking and stuff to make sure that you can return to it? Okay,
basically what we're doing is we are building up our alcohol tolerance. Tolerance is a key word in this day and age. We're building up our alcohol tolerance, so we're ready when we come back for the new season. We can get pissed on new levels, and we can get pissed more than other fans. That's what we're looking for, just that competition. So.
Agreed. We can't rush ourselves back in. Sort of thing. We're aware. Sort of thing. If we cut ourselves bone dry and went to the new season with anything, after 2 pints we'd be gone.
That's the thing. What we don't want is, obviously, you know, because of this break, is that when you come back to it, you know, we want, you know, if we're going to come back on that pitch and look like we've not been away, it's got to be the same for the fans in terms of what you bring to the party. You know, we don't want to seem like you've had 6 months off.
Obviously, we've had in the news have been 2 of our players that have gone elsewhere. Is this a time that's kind of ripe for the transfer market and bringing names to the club as well, do you think?
Yeah, it's always difficult because I suppose during lockdown it's harder to recruit as such at our level because we're not training and not having games. I suppose it's hard to recruit, but Aggie and Brownie have been around long enough that they've got contacts. We know, you know, we've not had a time yet where if we feel like we're short in a certain area, we can't fill it. Whether that's from homegrown talent or whether it's from another local lad that wants to come in, you know, those would have seen, you know, Ryan Huckle that come in sort of late towards the end of prior to lockdown, you know, is just sort of getting his feet in. So, you know, there's another exciting prospect there that hopefully when we can get back to it, you know, he'll fill some of the shoes. So, you know, I've got no doubts that when we can get back to training, and I'm sure Aggie and Brownie are already looking at what the squad will look like. And where we will go from there, and I can assure you we will not be short in any areas because of the people that have been left.
Oh, so Huckle, you think Huckle will stay, will he?
I'm hopeful that everyone will stay, and I'm sure they will. Obviously, I can't speak for all of them. We're all in the same group at the moment. You know, we're all still talking and stuff. So it's very hard to see what the future will bring. He came in and was very positive. You know, again, another hard-working individual in training. So he had a friendly, I believe, with us as well and looked promising there as well. So, you know, I'm hopeful that we'll retain all of them. Obviously, I can't comment if we will because I don't know. But I'm hopeful that we will keep the lads that we've got. And, you know, like I said, we're all in this together. And that's shown with the group chats that we're in, that the banter is still very much there amongst everyone. So I'm more than confident when we return that we'll hit the ground running again.
Who's got the worst banter, James? Who's got the worst banter?
Probably me. It's probably the safest thing to say.
No, it's not going to be you, though, is it? It's not going to be you.
Got them different questions.
No, I generally try. I'm generally quite quiet. I'm normally on the receiving end of quite a lot of banter, so especially between the staff. I don't even have to say anything and walk into the office, and I'm already getting it. So
how are you taking that off Ben? You can't take anything off Ben. No way.
You'll be surprised to know Ben's not the main culprit, unfortunately. Yeah, it's good. It's a laugh, and I suppose that's what we miss the most. You know, we miss that banter in it. You know, it is good fun and it is all friendly, and ultimately it's what keeps the team together along with everything else. So I can't really say he's got the worst banter, because there's such big characters in the team, and that it's great. I don't think anyone's got bad banter. If anything, if I ever try and give it back, it's me. So
it's very, very honest of you, James. Very honest.
But the safest answer, that's the thing, because I know that some of these might see it. So it's the safest answer.
Safety, James. Here we go.
You can't read as a staff. What of the players? You said you trained with him a couple of months ago. Did you outperform any of the players? Go on, name and shame of a player. Did you outperform any?
Oh God, no! Oh God, no! Don't even go. No, absolutely not. You've all seen me. That I'm nowhere near. I'm no fit. I just joined in because I thought, it was a Zoom session in my back garden with the laptop there. I joined in. I thought, I can't not. We all do. We're all there as staff and mucking in. And again, it was the social, even though it was a fitness session that was bloody hard. I'll never outperform any of them. Even the staff, I won't outperform. So, but I don't mind that.
Who's the fittest? Who's the fittest?
They all are. I can't. It's hard.
Someone's got the crown, because we knew. Like, if you look at the England cricket
Splinters
team
are hurting his ass.
If you look at the England cricket team for a long time, everyone knew that Alistair Cook do the bleep test the longest. It was wide public knowledge, and I wondered if there's someone who's the fittest, who's the benchmark in the Hastings side to beat.
Well, for you, George, it's David.
To be safe, I think they're all fit. Don't get me wrong; they're all incredibly fit.
What's what you're saying, Chris? I think
Marcus is probably. I think Marcus is up there. Marcus Goldsmith is probably up there with one of the fittest. Seeing his Strava runs and running around with the 10-kilogram vest on and running times quicker than I would ever dream of running. It just sort of testament to his fitness. But I think everybody is.
So what we're saying is James McCrossan has said that all the other players are shit, and Marcus's fitness is way above you guys, so you need to crack on. Otherwise, James is going to have you. That's what James has just said.
You all wear the rubbish training top that Rodari wore all the time. You have to wear that. Right,
guys. Closing this up, I think we should leave this on a fantastic note, which is the supreme leader, Aggie, and all the staff signing on for another 2 years. Who wants to start off on that?
Go on, Rob.
Oh yeah, I'll start them. It was actually really good, because I remember thinking, obviously, as I mentioned before, this lockdown's been really hard. And a couple of times I was generally thinking, oh God, Aggie and they're all going to leave, aren't they? And it's not be the same when we go back. Just having the fact, knowing that they've signed, gives that sort of like stability at the end of the tunnel. Like when I go back to Hastings, it's going to be similar to what it was. We still have the hope, the dream. It gives you something to look forward to and work towards during lockdown. Because I've had a dark days in this lockdown, I'm not going to deny it. But just that little ray of hope keeps you going. Like, yeah, I can get through this. So fantastic news.
Roy?
I think it's fantastic for everyone around the club, because, it's not just what Chris does on the pitch, it's what he brings off of it as well. That, that you travelling on the coach to away games, the atmosphere is always incredible. Even after a loss, it's not too dejected. There's still a level of, there's still a level of pride that's been instilled by Chris and everyone who works with him. And I think, obviously, the football, the results are excellent under Chris, but it's the behind the scenes stuff he does, which I think really makes him one of the most rounded managers, certainly not just in our league, but certainly looking a few leagues above as well. So obviously it's fantastic for everyone at the club that we can have him for a couple more years.
Rounded, are you saying Chris is fat?
No, I'm not taking John's material.
Sorry, go on.
He's not Snowman well-rounded. He's character-wise well-rounded.
What you're saying is he stopped wearing the magic jeans because he's fat. If this is a quote from Ryan, he stopped wearing the magic jeans because of his weight. Is that what you're saying?
I remember why I haven't come on this for a little while now. Yeah. Okay, well, it's been nice knowing you all.
Right, Andy?
It is good. I was I remember talking about this, and I was concerned, sort of objectively concerned, given the possibilities for someone like him if he was left sort of lying fallow for too long, and also the looming prospect of a double annulment of seasons would leave us really exposed. So I was delighted when they all signed up, because they're the difference. I think they're the difference. They're why James does what he does, and things like that. They create the atmosphere that makes James do what he does, and all the other people around the club do what they do. So it's just they're the difference, and therefore without them we really would have been up the creek. I think it has to be said. Psychologically it would have been a real downer to be without them in this circumstance. As somebody who was a sort of bank holiday, Easter Monday, Boxing Day type attendee until that moment, which I said to you, Chris, where I thought, hang on, something's changed here. And that was quite a light bulb moment for me with Hastings. And yeah, long may it continue.
Yeah, excellent.
It just took me back to there was a horrible day a couple of years back at East Grinstead, where it looked like Aggie was going to go, and the board at the time were giving abuse in the stands, and bad things were happening at the club, and you think the club's not in that place anymore. It's in a place where a talented coaching setup like we have can thrive, and it gives you a lot more positivity. You look back to that time where we don't know the ins and outs and everything that went on, but it seemed like what was going on, that some of our talented staff could have rightly walked away. It just doesn't look like that anymore, and lots of positivity is there, and it shows with Aggie signing until 2023. It seems ages away. It's only a couple of years away, but it just, like, and then what Robbie said, just gives you a lot of positivity to say that when we come back to football, it's not going to be totally different. It's not going to be not as good as it was. We are going to have that wonderful side with that wonderful setup. So, good news.
Johnny Wells?
Well, I think everyone's missing the point. There's a popular coup that's taken place, and the power is going to shift dramatically from these names that you're mentioning. But I don't want it to be vindictive or bitter, and I can see a very good role in the club. Aggie will be cleaning the boots, and Billy will be hanging the shirts out for the games.
In the boots? You about the kittens again there, John? How many kittens do you get a week?
Don't mention the kittens, that'll make me bitter again.
That communist hat has become more and more of like some sort of despot dictator.
You haven't seen the half of it. It's going to be coming out in the next few days. Unfortunately, you're going to have to suffer it. James, any thoughts? Obviously, this involves yourself as well, because it's everyone staying for 2 years, I take it. So, I mean, that's cool. It's great. So
yeah. Like, I wasn't obviously I'm not involved in the negotiations between Billy and Chris, but for me it was an absolute no-brainer to stay with Chris and the rest of the coaching staff, and I'm sure I can speak on behalf of them as well that it was probably not difficult negotiations as to whether we stick around or whether we don't. So we just can't wait to get back into it, and like I said, we just want to be able to hit that ground running again, and whichever division we're in or wherever we're at is to get back on that football pitch and put a performance on for all you guys. So the sooner we can get back to that, the better.
Lovely words, James. And you've been wonderful. Thank you very much. I mean, you're obviously very professional as well, which none of us are. So it stands out like a sore thumb. But thanks for your time. And
no, thanks for having me on. It's been a
no,
pleasure.
thanks. No problem. I mean, and for anyone who wants to carry on with a little chat, stay on. Otherwise, I'll see you guys.
James, just thanks, man, and please come on again. Please come on again to the round table.
I'm sure I can do. I'm sure I can. No problem.